Happy to meet you all with another interesting game played between Tan Zhongyi and Koneru Humby. No introduction for Koneru Humby. She is the second women player played reached 2,600. Crossed 2,600 ELO rating mark after Juliet Parker, and she won multiple tournaments and honorable Padma Shri and uh, honorable awards from Indian government like Padma Shri and Arjuna Award. Um, let's see the game. Before starting with the video, those who have not subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. Your little help will keep us going. Uh, the game started with Hubby played d4 and uh, Tan continued with the nf6, nf3, e6, c4, bishop e7, nc3, d5, bishop f4. I usually prefer keeping the bishop, such kind of opening. I usually prefer keeping bishop at f4 rather than sitting ideal at c1. This will give more activity for bishop, and uh, it will give more control over the center as well. So after bishop f4, black castle, white continued with the plan e3, and black continued knight b d7. Remember, it is a rapid game, and there will not be any deep calculation. So at this point, Humby played a3, keeping this outpost out of black's dark square bishop, and Ton played a6, keeping this outpost because some point of time this pawn will be fallen, and the bishop can be developed in b5. So after a3, Tan also denied this square for white's light square bishop. Yeah, it makes sense. So white continued with uh, c into d5, and then knight into d5, knight into knight, e into d5. So at this stage, white played rook c1, attacking the c7 pawn, and black responded with the c6. uh, White played a development move, bishop d3, rook e8, castle. So pretty much development is completed at the white side. Almost all the pieces are out of the initial square except the queen, and white side still this rook and bishop is yet to be developed. So Tan played a logical move, knight f8, keeping this bishop out of. This is the knight was blocking the black's light square bishop, so keeping it from d7 is makes sense. Humby responded with the h3, keeping this outpost for the bishop. And right now, this knight is doing excellent job because it is protecting the h7, and then g6 square is later in the game it can jump into g6 or e6. And this bishop also slicing the board. Actually, both the bishops are having a good scope right now. So after denying the g4 square for the uh, black's light square bishop, uh, black continued with knight e6 development move, attacking the dark square bishop, and black responded with the bishop e5, and trying to kicking out this bishop is not a preferable idea because it will weaken the king side pawn, and black can easily get into h2, or the game will continue. So it will be better if it will be better not to kick off the board. Not to kick off the bishop from the square. So Tan played a g6 move, and later in the interview, sorry, the template g6 move, and then white continued with the e4, So later in the interview, it has been asked to Humby, why going to break the center? Why not B4? So she's not preferring the B4 idea because this will lead to white needs to meet the a5, and suddenly the game turn into queen side, but most of the pieces are focusing on the king side and center. So she was not comfortable with the b4 move. So after g6, breaking the center looks logical. So d into e, bishop into e, and then knight jump into g5, attacking the light square bishop. So knight got traded off, bishop into knight, and white played f4. So attacking the bishop, there is a two possible option. Either bishop can play f6 or h6. In the actual game, it has been played bishop h6, and later in the interview, Humby mentioned that bishop f6 looks better than bishop h6. So the game continued with bishop h6, and then queen b3. So keeping eye on b7, and then focusing on the f7 as well. So at this point, black would have tried rook into bishop. So after playing f into bishop, opening up this f file, and then queen is focusing on the f7. Black would have tried a queen into d, and then check king h1, and bishop e6, attacking the square and protecting the f7 pawn. Queen into b7, attacking the rook f8, and then black would have continued with white needs to continue moving the knight from the bishop diagonal. Rook ce1, and then black can play bishop c4, attacking the f7 rook. And now black can get back the exchange. For example, the game might have continued queen into c6, and then bishop into f1, rook into and bishop into b2, queen into a6, bishop g7, queen d6, queen into bishop, queen d6, bishop f6, preparing for rook f8, a4, rook f8, queen b5, bishop e5, queen into queen, and then bishop into b2. At this position, it looks equal actually. So both the sides are having equal number of pawns, and both players can agree for a draw at this position. But after queen b3, black tried bishop f6, which looks bit of inaccuracy because already the bishop is slicing the board and covering the b8 square. So capturing this pawn will not do anything harm, because rook cannot come back and attack the queen. So after queen into b7, after queen into b7, black tried f6, and at this position, white could have tried a rook into c6, because if black is trying capturing the pawn, then it is easy to convert this into winning. Rook into bishop, and then rook into rook, queen into rook, queen into queen, and then bishop into queen. So right now, white is threatening the d5, pinning the rook, and black supposed to respond to the threat, rook e8, and then bishop check, king h8, f into e, and then bishop check, king h1, bishop into pawn, and this will be absolutely winning for white. White needs to deal with this e6 pawn, which is a huge advantage for white. And also considerable variation by capturing the pawn with the rook. Um, Queen might get attacked, and then bishop into f6, rook into queen, bishop into queen, uh, bishop into rook into bishop, and the rook is under attack. Rook supposed to capture the pawn, and This is also a winning line for white, because white is right now two pawns up, and this d pawn is unstoppable actually. So it is advantage for white. But Humby tried a different way. Humby captured it with the bishop. After that, the pawn captured the bishop into rook, and queen played queen into d4, king h1, rook into f8, and after rook into f8, rook c d1, queen c5, f into e5 by white, and then a5 moving out the pawn into safety, and b4 attacking the queen, a into b, a into b. Still queen is under attack. Queen c2. White Humpy pushed the pawn, and started making this as a threat for black. After b5, black played bishop f5, and queen d5 check. Humpy continued with the queen d5 check, king h8, queen f7 attacking the rook, and rook played f8, and at this position Humpy played queen e7. But Humby also could have tried rook d8, because right now the rook is pinned and cannot queen cannot be captured. And if rook into rook played, then queen f6 check, king g8, and then rook can be captured back. And king g8, then queen f6 check, king g8, and then e6. This will give a decisive advantage for white. White will be winning over here easily. But the actual game, Hambi played queen e7, and black responded with the king g8. It makes logical, because this bishop was overloading by protecting this rook at f8. So king g8 move will be supporting the rook, and this bishop can freely move anywhere. After king g8, now Hambi tried rook d8, and queen played c4, attacking the rook, and the rook moved into d1, created a battery over here. Bishop played bishop c2, attacking the rook once again. Rook played rook e1, and black responded with the queen c3, attacking the rook once again. And this leaves this, queen c3 move leaves this e6 square for white. So Humby tried with queen e6 check, king h8, queen f6 check. Still, this rook is pinned, cannot be, the queen cannot be taken. So king g8 back, and then rook f1. And suddenly, the f8 square is getting multiple threats. Um, and this rook is unmovable because of the pin. So uh, black wants to break this battery formation. So black tried bishop f5, and white responded with rook into rook. Obviously, king cannot be captured, and then bishop into f8. And Humby played easy move to convert this to a winning b6. Right now, this pawn become a major threat, because only two squares away from the promotion. And black tried with queen b3. White played a simple move e6, and creating another one threat for black. So this e6 pawn cannot be captured, because if you are trying to capture with the queen, queen can recapture it. Queen into queen, bishop into queen, and then rook into bishop, uh, king into, and this pawn will be winning. So after e6, if you are trying to capture with the bishop, then directly you will end up in the checkmate. So this pawn become a major threat right now. Black in the actual game, black responded with the queen b4, supporting this bishop. But this f7 square is check is unstoppable right now. Humby continued with queen f7, king h8, and Humby made a decent move, pushed the b7 pawn. Now both the pawns are supported by the queen. There are too many threats right now. It is better to resign the game, but Tan still continued by playing bishop d6, and the next immediate move, black resigned. Humby pushed the e7 pawn. Right now, these two pawns are major threat, and any of the pawn will get promoted. For example, if the game continued with bishop into e7, then queen check, king g7, this pawn will get promoted. If the game continued by capturing the b pawn, then this pawn easily will get promoted and will win the game. So after seeing this move, after seeing this e7, now tan got resigned, and now tan got resigned. So if you check overall the game, the ideas what Humpy implemented in this game is really mesmerizing. That too in the rapid format. There are multiple games which Humby played with a lot of strategy and tactical involving. So in the future video, we can see, you know, we can make it as a Humby series with a lot of interesting game played by Humby. Um, so for all these things, we need your support, by subscribing and liking and sharing this video. Thank you so much once again. Your little help will keep us going. Thanks all. Bye.